One of our clients before he started with us had 250 sales calls in a year. So that's 2 calls every 3 days. And he closed below 10%, generating less than 20 clients. Painful.
So today we're going to have a chat about low conversion rates and what to do about them.
Yeah, and how we can make sure that the time that we invest in sales calls is not time wasted, but business generated.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think, first of all, maybe it's a good thing to just talk about, like, what should I expect to have? Like, what is the benchmark? Because I think it's really hard for someone to know, like, what should I have? Is that good or bad, what I'm having? My experience is that a lot of people are focusing on, like, just getting more sales calls, like really focusing hard on getting sales calls. I just need more sales calls.
Yeah.
And if the conversion rate is less than 10%, less than 15%, I would have a red flag there and start fixing that before I start getting more sales calls.
Absolutely. And like if you're doing below 10,000 euros a year and you haven't had any help setting your funnel up, if you have like 15% is a probable conversion rate.
Yeah.
It's not uncommon for people out there. So when you benchmark against people who are hustling or struggling like yourself, or if you're in that place, if you're benchmarking towards people who are in a similar situation, they're going to say like, yeah, well, 15%, that's like, it's pretty okay.
Yeah.
The problem with 15% is, number one, it's going to drain you. It's going to exhaust you because you're going to have so many people going through the funnel and so much time spent with hearing people saying no and hearing their objections without ever being able to handle those objections, ever really being able to have those good quality conversations with a lot of people who's interested. And I know it from my own journey when I've done sales calls, and this was more not because I had so many sales calls because I had like a super sufficient funnel, but because like when I was working in sales in the beginning, I remember that I did so many sales calls and were kind of okay with them not saying yes, because to me it was like my training. It was like, I need to do the sales calls. Okay, it doesn't matter if they say no. If they say no, it just means that I'm one step closer to a yes. And I fed myself with a positive kind of mindset. But if I were to know then what I know today, then I realized that there are so many reasons to why I'm not getting the sales. There are so many reasons to why I'm not closing them. There are so many reasons to why I'm still drawing a blank and spending so much time without sufficient results. I'm kind of trying to not give in too much of like what is the problem specifically, because there is 2 different problems. One of them is going to be your stamina, like your emotions and the personal experience, and the other one is going to be the business outcome or the business, the effect that it has on the business. If I were to ask you, if you were to dig into the problem, what would you like? How would you describe it?
Yeah, well, I think a misconception there is out there is that if just people book sales calls, it means they're ready to buy.
Yeah.
And that, I think people are chasing sales calls as that is the key. I just need sales calls. So I think the focus is just completely wrong. Because if your focus is just, and I can understand why this happens, because if you go around on social media and you look into the ads you're getting, or even worse, looking into that cold DMing box that says like request folder you have in your DMs, you can see how many offers coaches out there are getting from agencies or setter people who's saying, hey, we can help you book this many calls. You can get this many calls. Like, that's the most used, most common offer these people are selling into coaches, that you will get X amount of calls
into your calendar. Yeah.
So they're also driving this conversation.
Adding to that, and we can have opinions about it, but I say that it's a bit dirty, but they say qualified calls.
Yeah.
But they're selling an outcome of qualified calls without the person understanding what is a qualified call.
Yeah.
Qualified is also, it's not like yes or no. It's a scale from like stone cold to or like really icy glacier cold
yeah.
to red hot and ready to buy.
Yeah.
on the scale between like where are they when they come to a call. So when they say qualified, it doesn't really mean anything. But that's also the problem.
If you get stuck in the trap of, well, I'm not getting enough clients, I think most coaches just go to, well, I need to book more calls. There's something with my marketing. I need to have a better funnel so I can get more calls. But it doesn't matter how great a lead gen funnel you have if your sales funnel is just completely broken and you're not converting those people. So you should absolutely start by focusing on converting. And I think we started saying about like looking into benchmarks. It's really hard because there's a lot of different benchmarks depending on where you are in your business and also what, like, how known you are, what, like, how big your brand is. Like most people who are just starting up doing less than 10K a month consistently, well, they will naturally have a less conversion rate, but they should be able to get to 40%. Everyone should be able to get to that point because otherwise there's something with the funnel or the client journey that is they're not taken care of. And that's a part of the sales funnel.
Yeah. And I was, especially when we are at a plateau, which means that when we've reached a certain point in our business, when everything is working, but we don't know how to grow, 40%. And then we invest and say, hey, we want to scale, we want to do more. So we simplify and we change the approach slightly. Well, then you can see a different result. But 40% is the benchmark. 40% is the benchmark, has always been the benchmark with our clients. Yeah. Because we need to have that. I don't know if I interrupted you and it was definitely not my intention, but we can see two things. Number one, the obvious, if you have a low conversion rate, your sales funnel is broken. Yeah. But I would also say that your marketing is, the marketing funnel is also broken.
Absolutely.
Because the marketing is not just designed to have people recognize your existence. Your marketing funnel should also build the other two components of marketing, that is like marketing 101. We need to build that like and trust factor in the marketing as well. Yeah. So in the marketing, we build the context. We build kind of the box of like, here is what we do in our store when we're talking about like social media and being visible on like out there in the SoMe world. So when we are visible online, it's not just creating recognition. Oh, I've seen that guy before. I've seen that girl before. Oh, I know that business. Or I've heard something about that. Because that is just step number one. The second step of marketing is making sure that they stay and they consume more stuff and that they actually become interested. So the sales funnel doesn't start where the marketing funnel ends. They overlap each other like completely.
Yeah. If you're struggling in sales, there's also a problem with your marketing. Your marketing should support your sales. It should make sales way easier.
Yeah, so if this is the first podcast episode that you're listening to, you can just know that I will choose the way of saying a thing that takes 50 sentences and Sunny will say it in one. So I will speak and then Sunny will clarify quickly. That's great. It's just the way it is.
I mean, the problem doing this, because if we agree that 40% is a good benchmark, it doesn't mean that you should have 40% from the beginning. It means that that's what you should get up to as a benchmark where you should be able to put. So it's not like in the first 2 months, if you're not at 40%, you have a big problem because you probably need to train like your skill sets at doing a sales calls, of course, and doing objection handling and how to qualify and all of these like different components you need to have in the sales funnel. You need to train all of these ones. So you need to do a hell of a lot of sales calls to just figure out what's wrong. And that's about taking the data. The problem with not fixing that and getting stuck at these places is that we're troubleshooting the wrong place. I think that's the worst thing I see that is happening.
Can you just say, what does that mean in terms of like business efficiency?
Yeah, it means that if I decide what my problem is and I decide make the wrong decision, if I don't know how to troubleshoot in that's literally, if you don't have the experience, if you haven't built that business you were trying to build, if you haven't had those sales that you want to have, you probably do not have the skills and the experience to troubleshoot and discover what exactly is the problem. Like, take an example, could be that, oh, I think that there was something wrong with this lead. Oh, it was just the wrong lead. It might be. It might also not be. It might just be that you did not pre-handle and do stuff like that before the call. You didn't have them see enough. You didn't remove the obstacles for them or the resistance in them before. So there was... I think the biggest problem is that if you're not staying in course and if you believe it's about them, it's about the leads, it's about that thing, and you believe it's not about you, well, you're going to be struggling for a long time.
Yeah, so troubleshooting in the wrong place.
Yeah.
If I were to try to become you for a second and
Yeah.
say the same thing in one sentence, troubleshooting, and it's not going to be you because I'm going to run with a metaphor and you don't do that. So that's 100% me. But troubleshooting in the wrong place is kind of like buying a new car every time you run out of gasoline.
Yeah.
It's going to turn very expensive very fast.
Yeah.
Instead of just realizing, oh, it's not a problem with the car. I just need to refill it with gas.
And if we take that back to coaching, what happens literally is that, oh, my funnel is broken.
Yeah.
Oh, throw it out and I need to do another strategy.
Yeah,
Instead
exactly.
of just figuring out what is it exactly in the funnel that is broken and fix that thing.
Yeah, yeah. And you said something else that I love so much that is hard when it's challenging, and it's staying in cause.
Yeah.
Deciding to be the reason for all outcomes in the actions that I'm taking.
Yeah.
And that's personal development at its biggest, because it's so important to realize that you are the one factor that you can always like shape and reconstruct in a way so that it helps you and gives you a better business, or gives you a better outcome, or gives you a better quality of life, or whatever it is. But the moment we're in a challenging spot, the skill set of being able to spot what is cause at this very moment fast, it takes training and it takes effort. And I'm not going to say that it's always going to be easy and nice, but it's always going to keep you in a place where you feel set free.
Yeah.
And I want to emphasize feel set free, which means that you're going to have all the freedom that you desire in your life the moment you just choose to be the reason for all outcomes in your life, good and bad.
Definitely. So if you have this very low conversion rate, I think the biggest problem that actually happens is, first of all, but it leads to burnout due to emotional breakdown. Like if you feel like you've done everything you can do and it still feels like, oh shit, I'm getting in hundreds of people to a webinar, I'm getting so many sales calls and I'm still not getting in those clients, it's tearing down your confidence as well, because you start like doubting, well, they don't like my offer, they don't like my thing, they don't like me, they don't like this, and I can't do it. Will I ever be able to make it in my business? Maybe I should go and find a job. And it kind of spirals, getting into this negativity. So if we are to find, like, what should we be doing to troubleshoot? Where should we, like, it's hard to troubleshoot for a group of people listening to a podcast, but what could be, like, some good places to start looking?
Well, first of all, we want to kill the dream of, like, I just want to create a business and I set up a web page. And if I have a web page and there is a button, and, like, if I just funnel people or send traffic to that web page, I'm going to get clients.
Yeah.
That is a beautiful dream.
I don't think I met anyone who don't want to have that funnel.
Yeah, of course. Everyone would like it. And how much would you pay for that funnel?
Yeah, we need to make that funnel so everyone could just pay a lot of money to get that funnel. I want that funnel.
Absolutely. But the reality is, and here's the thing, where do we get that idea from?
Yeah.
We get that idea from the biggest brands there is. Like looking at in the personal development space, coaching space, we can look at Tony Robbins, we can look at Russell Brunson, we can look at, the people who have a really big brand.
Yeah.
And there are tons more, obviously. But when we're looking at these people, but their brand is selling for them. And it's not by coincidence that they got to that place. And they still have sales processes.
Yeah.
It's not like that's the only thing that exists. And what we need to realize is, so where does the sale happen if your brand isn't big enough? Where? It happens in the relationship that you can build with other people. And that is supposed to be done in your marketing funnel and in your sales funnel. Mm-hmm. So if we were to start to so where do I start navigating this? Okay, let's start looking at your audience. Let's start looking at the quality of the relationship of the 10 people that you last saw on sales calls. If you're getting clients with consistency right now, what do all of the people have in common that says yes? They related to you and they got an idea of who you are and they synced with you. So they were kind of like, with the risk of sounding a little bit like a surfer dude, but they were vibing with you, I
like the surfer dude.
Yeah.
Vibe.
Hey. Oh, I hate this one. I don't even know how to do it. Maybe I did it wrong. Cool. When they're syncing with you and feel like, hey, we're having a good time, what we're doing right now is like, it's a good quality conversation. I like you. I like the thing you've built, the system that takes your people to the other side of the outcome that I desire. And I want to go for it. I want to commit to myself and I want to join you in your mission of moving your people towards this outcome. There you have it. That's a sale. If we're looking at the foundation, there need to be trust in 3 different parts.
I just want to elicit a little bit more on that, because if we are trying to troubleshoot sales calls that are not converting, first question is, the people you have on sales calls, is it the right people? Do you see them, not like they said yes or no, and they said a lot of different things. Do you see they're good fit? Are they the right people? Because we need to know, are we attracting the right people? Because if not, we need to go further back into our funnel and see who is it we're attracting?
Yeah.
Who are we speaking to? Then it's our messaging we need to look at. If we believe it's not the right people, go back, fix that. If we believe, yes, it was the right people, great. We need to understand what was what was the no about? What was the objection?
Yeah.
We need to have that data. It's not that, they didn't buy. Yeah, no, they didn't buy. But why didn't they buy? We need to have that data. We need to understand that data, because that tells us a lot about what exactly is the problem. Is it so that they were not qualified before, so they were not ready to buy?
Or they didn't know what they showed up for.
Didn't they know like this was a sales call that we needed to have handled
it might sound
before?
weird, but it's like it's super normal.
Yeah.
So here's what happens. Why do people book a call that is a sales call? They don't book it because they've rationally gone through all the different options and decided that, yep, I'm going to spend my time being sold something. They don't think that way. They're not
looking to buy stuff.
What they're doing is they're getting in sync with an emotion that they feel, left, right, up or down. It's an emotion. We don't know why they booked unless we figure that out. What made us sit here? Why are we on this call? And that might not be the first question you ask straight out of the gate, because it kind of puts if they don't trust that your intention is all right, it might feel that you're questioning them or interrogating them. So, but we need to know, why did we end up at this place?
Yeah.
You mentioned that we need to collect data. We need to understand what is the reason to why they're not moving on. But also, we also need to understand, is it the right people that I have on the calls?
Yeah.
Because if half of the calls that you have are people that aren't interested in the outcome that your coaching provides, then you can literally double your conversion rate from one day to another with very simple means.
Yeah, and even worse, if half of the people that are booked in, scheduled in for a sales call, if they're not even showing up, if you have a show up rate on 10, 20%, there's something in that funnel that it was not interesting enough, they were not hooked enough, or they were not qualified enough.
Yeah.
Before getting to the sales call. There needs to be an irresistible offer. Every time we need to move people from one step to another step inside our funnel, there needs to be an irresistible offer to get to the next step.
Yeah. Yes.
And that needs to be adapted to the right avatar.
Yeah, too fast though. I really want to emphasize that it needs to be an irresistible offer between every step of the funnel. Super important. What is an irresistible offer? It's an offer that they can't refuse.
If they're the right person.
Yeah, if they're the right person, just as important. But when you're figuring out your irresistible offers, it's kind of like Hans and Gretel, the breadcrumbs leading them to the end destination. Yeah. And we need to be creative with that. But we need to be creative without creating complexity.
Yeah.
And that is complexity in itself, especially when we're starting out to figure this out. So where do we see this the most in a funnel? We see this with a low conversion rate, low show-up rate. We see this in an ad funnel where we're funneling cold people.
Webinar funnels.
Yeah, well, so and anyone that
VSL funnels,
anyone
like
that sees
to
you,
webinar to
anyone that sees you kind of for the first time.
Yeah,
that's where we're gonna get these kind of inconsistent data where it could be a huge show-up rate for a few days and then zero.
Yeah. Okay, it was the right person. They did have a problem we could solve, but they still didn't say yes. Then it can be different things. And I think that's where you were at. Because if it's the right person, they're looking for the help that you could provide. There can only be one of 3 things why they would not buy.
Yeah, and there are literally 3 things that needs for any sales to ever happen. And all of them are based on trust. So they need to trust you as a coach. They need to trust your program or your system or the process that you've created. That they need to trust that process will take me to that end outcome. And the biggest one is that they need to trust themselves. Yeah. Because why are we in the space of coaching? We're in the space of coaching because we want to help people, no matter what niche we're in. We want to help people to generate or create an outcome that they have never created before for themselves.
Yeah.
And it could be the first authentic, loving relationship, as well as the first 10,000, 30,000 euros in their business. It doesn't matter what it is. It's always an outcome that they don't know how to figure out themselves. And with that comes doubt, self-doubt. Like, I've never done this. Will I be able to? And as an adult, like, it's very easy to go to the place of being pessimistic, looking at yourself or myself and just thinking, I'm not sure if I can. And when we are in that place, it's we need to be the bridge between their self-confidence and their willingness to commit, even though it's scary. And that's where you see a lot of the objections. And if they don't trust you and if they don't trust your program, I would say, like, don't bother.
So how do we fix it though? Because it's
we do
fixable.
It's fixable, but we do not fix it because we built it before. So when we get to the point where they need to trust us is where we give the final offer for them to kind of take that step and move into our program. Then we should already make sure that is established.
Yeah. So where do we fix that they trust us? We fix that in the marketing before. It's literally everything they see in the funnel leading there.
Yeah.
But it's especially how you run the sales call.
Yeah,
like how
absolutely.
you do the sales call, how you do create rapport, how you connect with them, how you understand them, how you speak to them, how you frame the call, and all of that. That all builds trust.
And how well you listen to where they are.
Exactly.
Because if you can paint the picture back to them the way they said it, without too many like own interpretations or nuances, then they're going to realize that you're actually paying attention.
And step number 2, trust the process or the program you have. Now, a big part of that is, I would say the majority of that is absolutely also what you've been showing. So you've been showing a lot of proof to them that they can trust it all the way through the funnel leading up to where they're sitting right now. But your offer, if you have a shitty offer, you're going to have a hard time selling, especially these days. You need to have great offers. You need to have a great guarantee. You need to be able to help them, support them to make a great decision. It needs to be a great offer. But it's also the way you present your offer.
Yeah, absolutely.
How you present that during the call. So that's all about giving trust in the process and the program. They need to trust and believe this will help me get what I want.
And it's easier for them to trust your process if they trust you completely.
100%.
So if you build a skill set to help people trust you, it's going to be way easier to selling your process. Now, as you're doing this, the more clients you get and the more client results that you get, the client results will sell it for you because you can start sharing case studies and stories, and you can do this in the marketing.
Yeah.
You can use this as metaphor in the sales calls.
Yeah.
I've literally met X amount of people, and let me just talk about George for a second. He was in a similar place like you, and for him it was like this. And it's really easy to give away with a non-sleazy kind of presentation. And that is so important because what is sales? For me, sales is the most beautiful gift that we can give other people because it's an investment we make in human beings where we are showing them something that is desirable for them.
So that's the second one. The third one was trust in themselves. And that, like, helping them to get trust in themselves is about having, first of all, trust that they have you at their side so they can trust themselves. It's about how you present your offer, that you build an offer where they can trust themselves, like getting the outcome in that offer. And then, of course, your coaching skills. Because if there's an objection handling at this point, you, of course, want to know how to objection handle on a call, and you need to understand, like, they will probably say, I don't have the money, or it's not the right time, or something else, but one should start digging down and find out what's the real cause, because these other ones might just be a cover-up.
And it usually is. And I want to say,
objection.
if you're measuring data and everyone says, sorry, this is just super important, so I'm going to stick it in. If you're measuring your data of the most common objections that you hear, and the most common objection you hear is money, and the way that you handle that is by lowering your price, you're doing it completely wrong.
Yeah, then
Then you're fighting a game you don't want to fight, because there's always, don't compete to be the cheapest. There is always someone willing to sell it for less than you. Yeah. Always. Yeah. Which means that we do not want to play that game.
And they don't trust themselves more because you have a lower price point. It's not the price.
Not at all. The price is still going to be the objection.
Yeah.
Because here's the reality when it comes to price. No one has excess money, no matter if it's 10 euros or 5,000 euros a month. No one has excess money to buy something that they don't understand, or that they understand but don't want.
Yeah.
So if you can describe it and present it for them in a way so that they can realize that, oh, this is a real value for money kind of question, then the money is going to be so much easier to handle.
Yeah.
And money is usually the easiest cover to go to because number one, people in general have a poor money mindset. So they don't know how to figure out how to finance the stuff that they desire. The other thing is that it's also culturally very simple because like you can't do much with that. And if you feel like, and I'm not saying that the person being sold to is trying to fight off the person selling.
No, but it's an easy way to...
But
There's
it's
three
also,
easy ones. The money, the spouse, I need to think about it.
Yeah, but when it comes to money, it's not that they're fighting with the person trying to sell it. They are trying to fight with their own mind, trying to rationalize and figure out. And the moment we put pressure to something that is important, and we realize that there is a quick gateway out of my head right now to stop feeling this uncomfortable sensation. And it's like, oh, I don't have any money. Okay, nice. Then I don't need to be responsible for not getting the results and the outcome. So like you said, there's the money, there is the spouse, and there is the I need to think about it. All of those three is never about any of those three. So we need to find the real objection.
Which
the
is
real,
your skills.
Yeah, and here is how we do it without going into a complete breakdown. We're going to do that in another episode. Yeah. But here's how you do it. You have a real conversation with a person. Because guess what? One of you in the call is going to buy. Either they're going to buy your program or you're going to buy their objections. Don't buy their objections at face value. Just investigate and be curious enough to talk to them about it. So when you say you don't have any money, what does that mean? And then continue that conversation to see what comes up.
So it's literally about your skills again in objection handling and coaching. This is the only place in a sales funnel where you use your coaching skills.
Yeah. Like in the beginning of our journey, we had a great client and he had such a great, like, he was kind of like anytime he got an insight, his world turned upside down and he was like, oh my God, yeah, I've never seen this before. And one of the things that he shared into our business academy when he got the insight that like all I need to do is to coach the person on the other side to a great decision.
Yeah. Whatever that is.
Is it a yes? Then I coach that person towards the yes. Is it a no? Then I coach that person towards the no. Because if it is a no, if it isn't a good fit, we can help them to figure that out.
Yeah.
If it's the right fit and if they do want to join us and do want to hang out with us, if it actually is the perfect solution for them, well, then you can coach them to that yes, no matter the obstacles. And of course, we need to be enough for them so that they dare to commit. Yeah. And the last part of the offer is the risk-reward ratio. If in order for us to be able to have a good offer, especially with the market looking like it does today, we need to take care of the risk-reward. So the reward is clearly the outcome of joining your program. But we also need to understand that there is a risk for them committing to themselves and also taking that step joining the program. And there are so many things that we can do to take care of that risk factor with adding guarantees, adding out specific outcomes, adding different circumstances that just helps them to see that, yeah, with this guarantee, I can see myself going all the way and getting to that outcome.
So if you like this episode,
then you should have 40% conversion rate from now on.
That too, but also subscribe to this channel and give us a comment or like so we know that you like this. And make sure you follow us on our Instagram. And by the way, I decided that couldn't we bring a little gift to give them?
Yeah, of course. What are we going to give?
Yeah,
chocolate?
Chocolate. If you had chocolate, we will not. No, we will not.
Okay, sorry.
We will put under here, we'll put a link to the sales framework that we've been using to generate more than 6 million euros in revenue, but also our clients use to generate more than 20 million in revenue. So use this framework for your next sales course, and that will probably help your conversion rate up.
It's all yours, and it's really great. And it focuses on making sure that the call is great. So until we meet next time, we release new episodes every Wednesday. We'll see you on social media. Join us on Instagram.